Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Start with Safety course. We're so excited to have you here today and also to have our guest speaker, Wyatt Weber, come and give some of his knowledge in the field when it comes to workplace violence and the things related to that. After we have Wyatt do his presentation as our keynote speaker, we'll do some updates on some things happening at our center, some things going on that are really exciting. So we hope you're able to watch through and see Wyatt's presentation, which we're excited to have, as well as some of the things that are going on with us here at Utah Safety Council that you might like to jump on. So what we'll do first, but without further ado, is I'm going to introduce our speaker, Wyatt, with a little bio, and then we'll leave it off to him to go through his really interesting and important presentation about ways that we can prevent workplace violence and perceive it and see whatever the contributing factors are that lead to it, and just everything related to this subject, so we can be really knowledgeable in this area. Sergeant Weber has been an officer for 19 years. 17 of those he has spent on the DPS CERT team, a tactical team that responds around the state to major incidents. For 8 years, he was the team leader of that team. Wyatt is the primary instructor for new police officers on the topic of active shooters and has taught thousands of citizens classes on the topic of active shooters. Sergeant Weber's full-time position now is the Department of Public Safety Aviation Division, flying helicopters around the state, assisting with search and rescue and police missions. So a lot of diverse experience, a lot of very interesting and important stuff related to this topic and things that are they're kind of branch off from it. So without further ado, we'll leave it off to Wyatt. And Wyatt, I'll try to just anticipate the slides, but if you need to move on to the next one or move back, you can also just indicate to me.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
So welcome everybody. Sorry, had a little bit of technology hiccups there at the beginning. But yeah, some of you have probably heard me talk before. I've done some active shooter classes for the Safety Council in the past. Some different things like that. And they asked me to do a little bit on workplace violence prevention. And so I read a couple things and tweaked a couple things. We can go to the very first slide there. And obviously I started with OSHA and what they say. You just keep clicking through those, yeah. So OSHA said that, and this is a quote from their website, one of the best protections that the employers can offer is a zero tolerance workplace violence policy, which is good. Like, we have policies. I live in a world of policy in police work. We have a policy manual that's super thick and we all have to abide by it. But my experience kind of in that next tab is that these rules and guidelines and policies and procedures, I'll go back one, sorry, on that next bullet point, they don't really stop people from doing bad things, right? We have policies in place to give our employees some guidance and to help us deal with things post-event. But the reality is that bad guys or people who may, cause a violent event in a workplace don't really care about policy. They have disregarded that, obviously. And so the policies are good to give us guidelines, but I wanted to maybe give you a couple things to maybe prevent a violent event in case it does happen. So when you're developing these policies, think about policies that might empower people to do something, give them skills or knowledge, guidelines on what they can do if they find themselves in a violent situation, what they can do, how they can report it. I know that I've had to report some things at my work, and it wasn't super easy. Like, you report it to this person, they're like, oh, that's not mine, and they pass you off to somebody else and pass you off to somebody else, and then you're not really sure if it got reported, and you're not even sure about what's happening. I think a follow-up or a feedback loop is pretty important in that too. And I know that HR, and I'm sure there's some HR people watching this, there's things you can and can't divulge, but at least just confirming to the person that you've received their concern or their complaint and that you're investigating it is pretty valuable. I think empowering people to act and stand up against violence is pretty important. The federal government has this, if you see something, say something, policy or that they encourage mostly on airlines in regards to terrorism. The problem is that humans in general aren't very willing to speak up when they see things that might be uncomfortable or outside the norm. And so you've almost got to make a commitment to yourself that while it might be uncomfortable, I'm going to report this, or I may talk to this person. And, I'm going to get into it a little bit later, but not a lot. I've had a couple of friends who have ended up taking their own life. And those are things where you look back and you're like, oh, should I have said something? Should I have talked to them? Should I have approached them differently? And so all things that you think about. So you kind of got to make a commitment to yourself to stand up against violence, even if it might be uncomfortable. And then I believe in over-reporting. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't know, something's a little bit off, maybe with this person or this customer or this whatever. The key, though, is not to overreact, right? Because sometimes you report something that is suspicious or off or something like that, and then all of a sudden it becomes a big deal. You get drug into it, perhaps. Be conscious that we can talk about things without making a giant deal about it. We're just kind of getting people's interest piqued. So go to the next slide now. There's a little bit of some statistics that I pulled for you guys, because I do focus on active gunmen a lot, but violence statistics are fairly similar. So venue-wise, most of these active gunmen, I'm talking specifically here, active gun, 37% happen in businesses, which a lot of you guys are in, and then 34%, the next is schools. You see 17% are outdoor, and then this is interesting, 20% that might attack, say, a business or something like that, end up going mobile and move somewhere else. But this is probably the most important. 40% have no relation to the location. They're not a customer, they're not a student, they're not any of those things. And so the problem is your policies, procedures, all those things don't apply to them. They've come there to do violence, and they don't care what your policies are. A couple more stats there, not really super applicable, but I think they're interesting. 60% of the time they're using a pistol and an active gunman, things like that. This is important to you guys, though. Average LEO response time is 3 minutes. And then 43% of the time, these incidents are over by then. And half of those end up self-inflicting. And then the other half, somebody else on scene or security or employees or end up taking care of it. So just a little bit of statistics. Just understand that not quite half of the people that do this type of violence in the workplace or at a school have no connection to that area at all. So we'll talk about presenting a more difficult target here in a couple of slides, but I think that's important to know. So next slide. So what am I looking for? So I looked at the OSHA's list, and they've got all these characteristics. Oh, you loner and social outcast and all those different things. And it was good, but then I looked at, and I've got a link there for you guys. I don't know how you would click on it, honestly, but maybe you can copy it down, or just you can Google it and find it. Canada's version of OSHA, and I'm going to read a couple of them from their actual webpage. Canada's version of OSHA had a better list of just things for you to be aware of. And it was better because it described the behavior and then how it would relate to maybe things at work. So it put it in a little bit of a context. So some of them are pushing the limits of acceptable conduct, disregarding the health and safety of others, disrespect for authority, testing the limits to see what they can get away with. There's a list of like 20 or 30 things, and then they've got things that are like of particular note. So if there's a change in behavior pattern, so somebody's been there for 10 years, everything seems to be going fine, and then we see a notable shift in their behavior. That's something you want to be aware of. Frequency or intensity of those disruptive behaviors at work go up. Obviously, like my captain next door will tell you that I sometimes play devil's advocate, and very strongly I push things a little bit, but he knows that's me. If there was a drastic shift in that and it changed, you should be particularly aware of that. And then you got to look at all these behaviors and go, okay, everybody has a bad day, right? Like I get hangry and and then I might get all irritable and stuff. And that's that one-off instance is not necessarily mean that I'm prone to violence. But when I see multiple instances, so maybe they're always late to work and then they socially isolate themselves from everybody else. And then you see an extreme irritability or something like that. And so when I see multiples of these types of behaviors stacking on top of each other, I tend to get concerned. And then they go through, the nice thing about the Canada OSHA version is they go through the physical characteristics that you may see in people. And we'll talk about those a little bit here too, but they talk about flushed and pale face, sweating, pacing, repetitive movements, signs of extreme fatigue, those kind of things, loud talking, which are all good, but you'll see those too in people who are stressed. So it's important to note what context are you seeing these things, and then take it with a grain of salt, right? Is this just a one-off thing? And then talk to them, right? There's nothing wrong if you've got a coworker who's maybe super irritable, be like, hey, is everything okay? What's the worst they could do? They could yell at you and go off, but that's okay. At least you have tried to assess that, and then you can go ahead and report it. Like I said, I've had friends who have taken some extreme measures, and sometimes I look back and go, maybe I should have talked to them, or at least made somebody else aware of it too. So, and there were cases where people did, but it's hard. So anyway, be aware of multiple things that might be amiss. It might not be violence directed necessarily at you. Understand that too. Violence could be directed at coworkers and you end up in the middle of it, like a domestic violence overspill into the workplace, things like that. So it's not always employees. It might be a husband or a wife of an employee, something like that. You also can be aware of violence that may be inflicted outside of work. So, a coworker or something that might be super aggressive at work or something like that, and he's not violent at work or she's not violent at work. But then you got to ask yourself, well, what happens away from work? And do I have a duty or a right to present that? So, so apparently my camera's not on. Let me figure out how to fix that here. I thought it was on. One second. If somebody could tell me, I'm not quite sure. There it is. I think at the bottom. I don't even see an option to turn my camera on. I don't know if that option is not available to me. I know I have a camera. I tested it before we started, so I apologize, everybody. I thought it was on, and so I've been sitting here staring at my camera.
Annabelle, you might have to turn it on for him if he's tuning in as an attendee.
Trying to, it's hard to tell because I'm sharing my screen and see if I'm able to.
I did join as an attendee, so I probably do need to have it turned on for me.
Oh, okay, that would make sense. Oh, you know what? Let me check our settings. Yeah, I'm not seeing it on my side. I'm going to check the video settings. Oh, here we go. So I've got, okay, I will play around with the video settings and see if I'm able to do it. But if not, it's just a bug we'll iron out for this next time. Not a problem. So Wyatt, okay, feel free to keep going. And if I'm able to, in the settings, change it, I will do so. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if my camera pops up, you guys tell me and I'll look back at the camera instead of staring off into space like an idiot, like I have been for the last 10 minutes.
No problem. Anyway.
Yeah, so you got to think about that. Is this violence directed towards me? Is this person going to be violent outside of work? And do I have any? Certainly, I would argue you have a moral obligation. If I know somebody's being violent to their children or their wife or something like that, then I'd probably want to report that to maybe the appropriate law enforcement agency or if I knew somebody was abusing children, for example, could report it to DCFS so that those children were protected and taken care of. So just things to consider when you're viewing these behaviors, that violence might happen in the workplace or it might spill off into somewhere else. Okay, I'll go to the next slide there. All right, so I like this quote. Everybody's probably heard the Mike Tyson quote, everybody's got a plan until they get punched. But no one has started a fight that they've lost in their mind. And so we use this a lot in police work, the bad guys constantly sizing up the officer, looking at the way you carry yourself, the way you're dressed. And they decide, hey, could I beat this guy? Is there a benefit to me attacking this guy? Well, the same is true, if you work in an industry and I think the easy example is if I work in retail, do I open my drawer and count out hundreds behind the counter? Obviously, that an individual that would be interested in robbing a place or stealing that money would see that, and then they've started to go through this in their mind, like, okay, could I get that money? If I did, what would the risk be to me? And if they work that out in their mind and they go, no, this is not a fight I can win, they're probably not going to attack, right? They're probably going to just find an easier target. So my first suggestion would be, don't be an easy target, right? Don't, and you guys, everybody works in different industries. I'm not sure where everybody's employed or working, but people put these safety measures in place in order to try to not be that easy target. And so you can do that at a personal level too, right? So one of those things is just to have plans. So if I know that I work at a front desk and I'm the first contact with outside people or customers coming into the business, or if it's a government building, I'm the first contact. You're probably going to be the first person. If that person comes there to enact violence, you're probably going to be the person that's just confronted with that, right? I did some active shooter training up at Snow Basin last week, and the HR gal brought me into her office and had some really serious conversations because she said, this is the office that everybody's fired out of. And we worry about that, workplace violence type thing happening after somebody's let go. So what can I do? And so we went through some plans, where would I escape if it happened right now? Do I have an escape? Do I go on the offense? Do I choose to defend myself? What am I going to do? And so I kind of talked to him about the 10-5-2 rule. And this is that it's kind of a rule that we use a little bit in law enforcement or sizing people up. At 10 feet away, I can look at a person and have some idea what their intent is, right? If they're 10 feet away, I have time to react, maybe withdraw, maybe I can get out, those kind of things. But at 10 feet away, I can look at how they're walking. If anybody's seen somebody that's walking with a purpose, eyes forward, locked on something, they are headed towards whatever they're intent on doing, right? And you probably think back, you've found yourself in this, like, I got to get this done, and you're ignoring everything else around you. Somebody else will walk by them and they ignore it because they're walking towards something. So 10 feet away, you can observe that. You can watch their hands. What are they doing with their hands? Are they clenching them? Are they moving them around? Do they have a weapon in their hands? What's going on, right? Because hands are what's going to hurt you or kill you eventually if they're intent on doing violence. Body positioning, and then breathing. Breathing is a big thing. Are they, over exaggerating their breathing? Is it super slow and shallow? Are they hyperventilating? Those kind of things. So all of those things are things that you can see at 10 feet. At 5 feet, you're not going to be able to really see how they're walking because they're not moving towards you. And at 5 feet, they're going to get to you. If they're going to be violent, they're going to get to you within that 5 feet, distance. And so, just have a plan. What am I going to do if they come at me right now? And obviously those distances can change if you have items between you. So in law enforcement, we have this 21-foot rule, and it's basically somebody with a knife And this is proven by there's an institute called the Force Science Institute that does a whole bunch of stuff on assaults. If somebody has a knife and they're 21 feet away, there's no way you can get your gun out before they can close that 21-foot distance and stab you. And so, but we have to decrease that distance if there's something between us. So if there's a patrol car between us, we decrease that distance. So if there's a desk between you and a potential assailant, or a counter or something like that, that buys you a little bit of space, right? And then we talk about that 2 feet distance. 2 feet is when you're shaking hands with somebody, exchanging documents, they're handing you a license or an ID or something like that. If somebody attacks you at that distance, you're going to be in the fight. And so just understand what you could do to maybe recreate that distance or get away, separate from them, those kind of things. And then get a little bit of training on that kind of stuff. A little bit of hands-on training, just simple things you can do to break away is better than nothing, of course. So, and then I can't emphasize enough how important it is to watch the hands, right? The hands will prepare for anything that's about to happen. They'll move before usually the body will, and eyes. So it's kind of funny, like if you're dealing with somebody on the side of the road and you go, oh, hey, do you have a firearm in the vehicle, or do you have any illegal substances in the vehicle? They'll do one of two things. They'll either glance in the direction where it's stored, or they'll glance completely and like stare off 180 degrees from where it is, because your mind just can't lie that fast. And so watch their eyes. Unusually long eye contact, same as that focused walking. You'll get that focused eye contact. And if somebody walks in the front door, say, of your business or whatever, and they won't break eye contact with you and they're walking with you towards a purpose, with a purpose, something bad is probably about to happen. And so then you can go back to your eventualities. Do I have a way to get out? Do I need to start getting ready to defend myself? Okay. And then scanning back and forth. Now, I have to do sexual harassment training, much like most of you probably have to do at your place of business. And they had a term in sexual harassment training a couple of years ago called elevator eyes. And it was, you're not supposed to oogle people. And I get that, but I probably get accused of this all the time because I'm constantly elevator eyeing almost everybody, right? When I start mid waistband and I'm looking for weapons, hands, behaviors, mannerisms, top to bottom. And that's just the way, and you guys don't all have to live in my paranoid world, but that's what I'm doing, right? I'm assessing that person, and are they a threat to me or to this workplace or to my family? Maybe I'm not at work. So these are all things that you just got to be aware of and look around, have an idea of what's going on before you get caught off guard. And then if we just go to the last slide here, just got a few more minutes left. There is a recent case in the state of Utah, and this is good. Most of you are safety managers or HR managers. It's good for you guys to be aware of this case. This is Ray versus Walmart. This was the Walmart in Harrisville, just north of Ogden there. Essentially, in the case, 3 or 4 loss prevention agents had detained somebody accused of shoplifting. And while they had him in a small room in the back of the store, a firearm, the suspect presented a firearm. And the employees ended up tackling him and taking him down and taking the gun away, and the cops showed up, blah, blah. Well, Walmart fired those employees, saying it was a violation of their company policy, no workplace violence, and to retreat at all times, like to always just let them have whatever, and you can't engage somebody. Well, the Utah State Supreme Court decided that was an illegal termination, an unlawful termination, and that the policy was unlawful because Walmart's company policy couldn't trump the inherent right you have to protect yourself. And so, a quote from the decision here: the exception is limited to situations where an employee reasonably believed the force was necessary to defend against an imminent threat of serious bodily harm under circumstances where he or she was unable to safely withdraw. So as you're training your employees or creating policies or making these violence workplace prevention policies, just remember that people do have a right to protect themselves, right? And so if I'm that 2 feet distance in our 2 feet rule and I shake somebody's hand and they present a knife, I'm not expected to have to withdraw. I could fight that person, or if they sucker punch me, I could at least defend myself. And you shouldn't have a policy that would prevent somebody from doing that. And in fact, legally, you can't, at least in the state of Utah, according to the Supreme Court. There's a link there for the full readout of the case. So, if you guys are looking at that, and if you're looking at tweaking a workplace violence prevention policy, make sure you just read over that and have an idea what that entails. So just a couple minutes left with quick recap. Look at provide employees with a list of things, because a lot of people don't think, what's this? And whether you use the Canadian one or the OSHA one or whatever, provide them with a list of things to watch out for, behaviors to watch out for from both employees and customers. I think the employee behaviors that are going to be most noticed are the irritability, the unwilling, late to work, unwillingness to follow instructions, all those. Those are things that you're going to see in employees. The things that you're going to see in customers are those focused walks where somebody comes in the front door, obviously intent on doing something that seems not good. The vision, where somebody is visually focused on something and they can't seem to focus on anything else around them. They're there to cause a problem. I think especially people who work at front desks and stuff like that, they can detect some of those things fairly early. I do a lot of training with secretaries and stuff that work at the front of schools, because a lot of those schools are locked right now. They're doing better at locking those doors, and so they have to buzz people in. So, hey, I want these people to be able to see them through the glass door and go, I don't like the way this guy's clenching his jaw, his hands, his fist, his body movement, whatever, doing that non-sexual harassment elevator eyes, top to bottom, like, I think there might be a weapon. All those things. Train your people to look for those things from your customers or people who are coming into your business. Maybe you can prevent it before it gets to be a problem. So just that's a quick recap. A couple things to consider. Obviously, there's 2 links in there. I'm sure that you can access them either through Brandy at the Safety Council, or they can send this out to you guys. That's fine too. Other than that, I'm sorry the camera didn't work, but that's my half hour. So you guys have a good day.
Thank you so much, Wyatt. I love that presentation. I think it's something that I don't have my camera on either. What do you know? Cool. I think it's something that is really important when it comes to realizing, so there's so many small, a lot of times, horrible events, important events just are hinged on such small details. And a lot of times, it's incredible looking back how many times it was just little things that people should have noticed, or if they were just trained to see, they could notice it. I love what you said. Gosh, what did you say over here? You said, no one has started a fight that they had lost in their minds. I think that's such a good mindset to have when it comes to psychology of these things. A lot of times, in a situation like this, that there are a lot of good choices you can make, but figuring out the best one usually involves knowing the psychology. So, well, that was great. Thank you so much. We were really happy to have you. And I think that I think that is just something that a lot of times it seems like normal stuff, and then it just doesn't come naturally in the moment. And so really being prepared is huge. So, well, we will now we'll thank Wyatt. That was really great. And we'll now go on to our the rest of our presentation on some things that are happening with us at our site. And for that, we're just going to leave it off to John.
Thank you, Annabelle, and thank you, Wyatt. Wyatt's been a friend of the Utah Safety Council for many years now, and always offers very relevant information. And we're grateful to Wyatt. And now that we're back to doing live and in-person events and conferences, I know we're probably going to hit you up, Wyatt, for our conference coming up next March 2023. So be ready for that ask. First off, I want to just thank everybody for attending our Crazy Pants golf tournament a couple weeks ago in June. This is the first time we've done golf since the pandemic, and we had it over there at the Top Golf. It was a great event, and a lot of you attended, and we had a good time. And it was great to see many of you live in person again, and we look forward to continuing the Crazy Pants event, and we'll just continue. Hopefully, now that we're past a lot of the unfortunate public health risks, that we can continue to grow that event and see you guys every year. And I know Brady may go more in depth with a lot of the stuff, but I just wanted to invite everybody to our annual meeting and award ceremony coming up August 12th. That'll be at the University of Utah's Rice-Eccles Stadium. We are sorting through all the amazing nominations for safety awards, and we will be very excited to announce the winners of those awards August 12th from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, Rice-Eccles Stadium. This will be the first time we've staged this event at the University of Utah, and they've been the university has been very gracious and helpful for us to have our event there, and we hope you all can join us live and in person. There will be a virtual component as well, but we do have enough seats for 250 of our closest safety friends and colleagues here in the state of Utah. So look for the registration link here in the next few days. Just wanted to remind everybody, we do these Start with Safety webinars every month. The next one will be August 1st. We are going to highlight one of our very close member companies, and so please tune in then. They're always free. We also have every month a new tool, the Occupational Safety Essentials class, which is a great class for not only veteran safety managers, but new safety managers to kind of get a very comprehensive overview of the essential things that components in a safety program, just to help keep workplaces safe. And so that's free for member companies, and we serve you lunch, and it's an all-day class, and you get to come into the office here and participate live and in person. If that's not possible, there's also a virtual component, but that next class will be August 10th. Both Brandy and Annabelle and Hannah can help you with any questions or details about that, but we're excited to have that class grow, and we've seen many of you come through, and we hope to see many more. So August 10th, mark your calendars if you haven't been to it yet. Pass the word on, and we'd love to see you here in Salt Lake City at the Utah Safety Council. We're working hard for our next membership event, which will happen September 30th at the Crossy Ranch. I guess just be northwest of us. We did this last year. It's a great opportunity for us just to, have a very casual evening with our members and meet us, and we'll have some hamburgers and donuts and watch the pig races, and it's a good way to just become acquainted and connect on that. So WISH Awards, our Women in Safety program, we are opening up nominations for the WISH Award that will happen. The ceremony will happen in December, so look for details on that, but that's always a highlight of our year here at the Utah Safety Council, so be on the lookout for that. WISH Award nominations, the deadline, I don't know, but we'll have several weeks, few months to get your nominations in, and then we'll have a big celebration at the end of the year somewhere nice. Last year was up at Redview Gardens, and I think we're working out details to bring it back again next year or this year up there. And then I think we mentioned this last month at our Start with Safety, but we've got some inquiries, but yes, we are planning a live and in-person 2023 Utah Safety Conference. We have confirmed dates with University of Utah Rice-Eccles Stadium for March 16th and 17th. That's a Thursday and Friday. That'll be a live conference. but we'll also have a virtual component as well. So we'll have sponsorship information and registration information and speaker call outs as well as exhibitors. They'll be able to come back live and in person to talk about their services or products at the conference. And so we're very excited to be offering that conference again back live and in person in 2023, March 16th and 17th. So maybe we'll have everybody wear green on the 17th. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But okay, well, that's all I had. And I believe Hannah, is it Hannah or Annabelle? One of you two great occupational managers will take it from here.
Okay, great. So just some quick things on our department. We, of course, have, for those of you that are, we have our general occupational classes, but then we also have some of our more specific ones. These are obviously those specific trainings that are for getting that really fine-tuned and niche training when it comes to oil refineries. That's BOP. So those that are coming to get their refresher, you can just call in for that. Those are a lot of times the Holly site specific, or if you're needing training when it comes to the computer lab, like your refresher on your BOP. That kind of training that's either site specific or, really kind of tailored for the oil rigs and oil refineries. That's all on here. Basic Orientation Plus. The next one's Tuesday the 19th. The UITC is on the 26th. And of course, we always do on-sites as well as another option for you guys in private classes. So that's on request. Okay, then we also have our mining. So for when it comes to mining, we always have web-based at the moment. So for a lot of people that are doing the refreshers, that's all web-based. In order to get that certification, we're in the process of trying to make an experienced miner course for those that maybe have already done the new miner class. Maybe they expired on their registration for the 8-hour refresher, or there's some other situation. There's a few reasons why you might need experienced miner instead of the 8-hour refresher. So we are in the process of getting that developed, and that will be offered shortly. So we're excited to have that, and we're excited to just give more options to our members and our clients so that they can get the exact training that they need. So that's a toe. We just this week started doing the MSHA 24-hour new miner class that is in person now. So there's web-based and in person. So just make sure if you're checking that calendar that you're double checking if you need that miner training. Make sure that it's that you're signing up for the right one, because we are moving luckily back into class. We have a class going on right now that's in person. And so when you sign up, just double checking so there's no snags with you being able to attend it, whether it's in person or web-based. Besides that, I think everything's going pretty well there. We have all our dates here on the calendar for it. Once again, we do schedule on-site. Sometimes centers just keep in mind, whether it's this or something else, centers a lot of times, maybe everybody's on a shift and they have different shifts. Maybe it's just easier to have us come to you. And there's a lot of ways we can modify that. It's very flexible when it comes to figuring out, if you need to train some today, some tomorrow, maybe make it a heavier training one day and finish it up the next day. There's ways we can modify and work around your clients and your employees' schedules. Maybe it's clients as well, but just keep in mind, we're really flexible with on-sites. We can make it work for you guys if the classes that we have here just aren't quite fitting with your needs, or there's something a little bit more specific that's going to work for you. So checking our website will have a lot of that, but honestly, even just calling in, sometimes people want to blend. They want like 2 different classes. There's just a lot we can do. And just starting that conversation, we can really play around with some ideas that you have for on-sites. Okay. Real quick. So when it comes to our occupational, we have a few different things. In fact, what I'll do first is go to the calendar. We have our advanced safety certificate. So for those that are interested in advanced safety certificate, some of those classes are coming up this month, as well as those that are interested in OSHA compliance, whether it's one class that's for work or it's a class that you're trying to actually get some OSHA certifications. We have some of those coming up as well as some just general, maybe more specific occupational courses that you need. So with that, we have the advanced safety certificate. A lot of people are taking these classes from us. They're interested in safety. They're in the field, or maybe it's even required, and they want to go a step farther and get certified with their advanced safety certificate, something that they can leverage in the workforce, something that can prove some of their skills and abilities. It's just something that's can be really powerful for you to just show what you're learning and your experience and your knowledge and what you bring to the table. So advanced safety certificate on the left is, these are some of the courses you would take for that. Any questions or concerns with whether it's web-based or in person or some way we can make it work for you, reach out at any point. As well as here's some of the courses for OSHA compliance to get those OSHA cards and to get certified when it comes to OSHA. So just some options for you to consider as you're on your safety journey. There are things that we can, we give you, obviously after a class, we give you those certificates, but if you want something a little bit more, even more advanced, there are these, and these also are they just really bring something to the table for you and just showing your work. So, okay. Besides that, the last thing I was going to mention with our department is workplace safety scholarship program. So a lot of times, some of those classes, they're 3 days or maybe they're long. And so they might just be a little bit more costly, or you might feel like, gosh, like I'd love to pay for it. Maybe my company would love to pay for it, but the prices, since there's a lot of courses, the price adds up. Well, luckily we got this grant. We have a lot of money on the table that we want to give to those that are interested in safety training and getting experienced in it. So anytime, if you have a company that has 250 employees or less, you're able to get 50% off of that course if you fill out a scholarship with us. Now, if you're nervous that maybe your company's bigger than 250 employees, reach out to us. A lot of times, if it's a branch or a subsidiary, there's still ways we can work around it where it really is your company or your branch is actually smaller than 250. And so with that, you're able to get cut that price in half, a full half off sale if you fill out one of our forms. And if you can't, we have them here around at our center, but honestly, I would just send you one. You'd fill it out. I think I even have one that's an editable PDF. You just fill it out real quick, send it back to me, and you're cleared. You're in the go. And you have half off for that course. So that's a really empowering tool that we hope to spread the word more and more about, because people just don't think they can't afford it and they actually can. So okay, I think we're going to leave it off now to our next department, which is Stone. Stone, it does our defensive driving, and go ahead, Stone, and lead us there.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Stone, and this is just our breakdown as far as what's on our calendar for this month. So we have plenty of availabilities. These are more geared toward individuals who want to come to. Course, it's more public facing than anything on these courses, but as always, we do offer the on-site training upon request. You can just contact me for pricing. I'm pretty flexible as far as working things out. I have plenty of instructors that can come out to you. So if it ever meets your needs and you feel like, you just really want to take a defensive driving course, or you want to put a bunch of people through a defensive driving course all in one go, then this could be a great option for you. So that's just something to think about and look into. And I think that's it for me. I think we're heading back to Annabelle for more updates.
Okay, back to me. We've got our department's leading this core this Start with Safety, but also we have our other instructor who's over not our other instructor, other coordinator. Brandon is not here today, so I'm going to be leading that one as well. So this is Brandon's department. Brandon is over the first aid, CPR, and AED courses. Now, any questions about setting some of those up, whether that's on-site or maybe something that's already set up. We have some dates right here for the instructor course or for member benefit, but honestly, you can really just reach out to him and set something up. It's obviously CPR, first aid, AED, I don't think there's a safety training that anybody is, people of, in the country are more trained on. That's more important than somebody in the room just knowing how to do that. So this is it has to be in some ways a flagship service we offer, because it's just so important and everybody has had it and everybody should have it. So we have some dates right here, but also just setting it up and just noting on this slide that we also have our bilingual as well for those that are maybe they speak a different language, or maybe they're just ESLs, and it would help to be able to navigate both languages at once. So those are some options for that. And I think now we're going to leave it off to Brandy.
Okay, hi. Hey, I think that, John and I might be sharing a brain because he covered some of the same things that I was planning on talking about today. But just a quick recap, the same with the Crazy Pants Golf Tournament. It was a fun event. We're looking at, possibly doing something similar to that next year. So you can see some of the pictures that we took from that event. So thank you if you were there. And if you weren't, we hope that you are next time around. Also wanted to mention just the annual meeting. John did a great job of kind of talking about the options that are coming up there, when it is, where it is. We're super excited to have, see people back in person, but also offer that virtual option for those of you that can't or unwilling to join in person. And we were hoping to have registration open this week, but it will be next week for sure, like John mentioned. So as soon as that's open, look for an email, posts on our website and social media to know that that is open so that you can go in and save your spot to attend the annual meeting and awards. And then finally, John also mentioned the Crossy Ranch event that we're planning for the 30th. A lot of fun events that they have there, a lot of things to do. It's great for individuals. We had people come last year as like a date night or bring the whole family. So it's a fun event. We'd love to see you guys come out for that. So more details are coming soon. But again, that's going to be September 30th. So we're excited about that one. That's pretty much all I had to report. So I just wanted to remind you that we do have these Start with Safety seminars every month. Next month is going to be highlighting a member company. So that'll be kind of a fun look into business and industry for one of our members. And so stay tuned. That's going to be August 1st at 10 a.m. So don't miss that. And I'm going to end it, with me. Just thank you for tuning in. Have a safe day, a safe weekend, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.